There's a moment in exam season that every parent is quietly dreading. It's the moment that results come back and your child gets one they're not happy with. It's so visceral, their disappointment. The face drops, the body kind of caves in, and you've got less than 60 seconds to respond back with something that will support them. And in that moment, you know that what you say matters more than anything that came before it. So today is exactly about that moment. What do we actually do? What do we say when your child hears bad news? Whether it's a disappointing mark, a mock that went wrong, or a result that wasn't enough. How we show up in those moments can either support your child on their path to resilience and bouncing back, or it can extend the period for them in this phase of shame and disappointment. Quick context if you're new, this is the final part of a 3-part exam season series. Today is where that all comes together. If you missed the first 2, they're going to be linked in our show notes, but you can also start right here. And whoever's result is landing in the next couple of weeks, whether it's our GCSE students, the 11 plus exams, or our students who are transitioning and looking to get into a new school, it doesn't matter who they are or what stage they're at in their academic journey, this is for you, because what I'm sharing today is not about the exam. It's about the family who's navigating this journey. Okay, grab your coffee. Today's going to be a tender one, and honestly, I think it might be my favorite one. Let's get into it. Before we get to that big moment, the results moment, I want to back us up a little bit. I want to make sure that I'm saying something to you, the parent, who has been alongside your child on this really intensive journey. These past few weeks, you have done a lot as well. You've learned to spot the quiet signs. You leaned in when your child was pushing you so far away. You started running the Sunday sweeps, you sat beside your child and helped body double. You allowed their nervous system to know that it's okay to self-regulate, but more importantly, that it can co-regulate. And you did that even on Sundays when you were exhausted. You stayed steady. You didn't make it a battle, and you came back and tried again and again gently. And here's what I want you to hear, because I don't know if people have told you this lately, but I think it's important. Every single one of those small, unglamorous, no thank you from the teenager kind of moments, you were building connection. Every time you sat side by side, that was connection. Every time you stayed calm when they were anything but, that created connection. Every time you chose the relationship instead of winning the argument about revision, you created connection. You were laying something down brick by brick that would support your child when things were less stable, like now, when we get our results, when we head into spaces that we can no longer control the outcome. You laid that foundation, and you've been doing it for weeks. I hope you feel that, because it's true. Because the moment your child gets bad news is the moment when your connection is put to the test. And everything that you've been doing over the last couple of weeks, whether you are even acknowledging them as moments of connection or not, they are. And they are what allows these moments in your child's life to feel survivable. So let me show you what all of this hard work was for. I'm going to bring out one of my favorite speakers, Brene, because her work is the spine of what we're talking about today. Now, Brown spent her entire career researching shame, and what she found is that shame and connection are on opposite sides. Shame says, I'm bad, there's something wrong with me. And when a child's brain is in shame, something happens in their brain neurologically. Their amygdala, their guard dog, that fight, flight, freeze response, it kicks in. And as a result, it scares off that wise owl, the prefrontal cortex, which is, again, that reasoning, thinking part of the child's brain. So a child who is in shame cannot access that thinking, reasoning part of their brain. So here's the bad news moment. When your child opens that envelope, reads it, and sees they didn't get the result that they wanted, what immediately hits? Shame. Almost always, it's shame. I'm stupid. I let everyone down. I'm not good enough. This has ruined my future. That guard dog is already barking before you even have an opportunity to calm them down or reassure them. So if you come in with logic, it's okay, we'll look at resits, it's not a big deal, let's sit down and make a plan, it's gonna bounce straight off of them because their guard dog has turned off the thinking part of their brain. It's not gonna land. This is exactly why connection is so important in times of uncertainty and stress. And it's why it needs to be built beforehand, not invented in the moment. Connection is the thing that calms the guard dog. It's the feeling of, I'm safe, we're gonna get through this, I have people to lean on, I'm loved. When that is landed, that guard dog can calm down, and that prefrontal cortex, the thinking, reasoning, weighing out possibilities part of the brain, that can come back online. And unfortunately, we cannot build that connection and safety in 60 seconds after we get bad news. That is something that needs to be built over time. And it is why you've been investing in those moments over the last couple of weeks and months. Still with me? Good. Because I know that this is the part that you're going to be taking notes of and writing down. These are the words that we can use. Okay, I promised you the exact words and I'm going to share them with you. But first, 2 quick things, because they're only going to land if what they're built upon is sturdy and foundationally strong. First, regulate yourself. You. Always you first. Your child is in distress. They need to start borrowing your nervous system. If you are going to be pulled and swept into their worry, their fear, their chaos, then it's not going to support them. So you need to take a couple of minutes by yourself, get rid of all of your own anxiety and thoughts and worries. You can address them and validate them, but your child needs to see that you are strong and sturdy. You can share your stress, your frustration, and your worry, but not yet. They need the space to process alongside you. Secondly, I want you to name what's happening so you don't take the bait. When your child, just like an adult, is in shame, there are a couple of things that happen. They can push you away, literally tell you to go away. They might snap at you. They might withdraw and go silent. There's so many ways that we try and push people away because no one wants to be caught feeling ashamed. Now, what's important to notice is that this is not rejection of you or your support. It's a defense mechanism. It's their guard dog trying to find safety. And we don't feel safe when we feel seen having those vulnerable, intense moments. So I want you to keep that front of your mind. Name it in the moment, in your mind, of course, in your head. Say, this is shame. They're acting out because they're nervous and scared. They're trying to protect themselves. It has nothing to do with me. It'll allow you to disconnect from their response and allow you to stay that anchor for them. Here is the most important thing whenever we are supporting someone who is going through dysregulation, frustration, shame, disappointment, overwhelm, any or many of those feelings. It is exactly what our toolbox is built entirely around. When we are connecting, we comment on the effort, never the outcome. You're going to separate their worth from the number or the words on the page, and you're going to do it out loud. And importantly, before you acknowledge what that paper is actually saying. Because here's what's actually happening on a visceral level, like underneath it all. When your child is receiving that news, looking at that grade, looking at the rejection that they were hoping they would have avoided, your child isn't really thinking, oof, what did I get? They know what they got. The question that is screaming underneath all of that worry is, do you still value me? Are you still proud of me? Do you still have hope in what I can do? Do you love me a little bit less now? That's what's really going on. And that's why the first 60 seconds, it's so important to acknowledge the person and their effort apart from the outcome. So the words can sound like this, and I'm not giving you an exact script. You will know how to say it. I'm showing you a couple of different ideas. This is the shape. Hey, come here. I can see that's not what you were hoping for. I am so proud of how hard you worked for this. And this outcome hasn't changed how proud I am of you. You and I, we're totally okay. We're going to figure out what's next together in a little while. But right now, I just want you to know that this is okay. I've got you. We're okay. Notice what's in there and what's not in there. There's no, what went wrong? Why did you freeze? What do you think you didn't remember? How can we do this better next time? There was no, you didn't revise enough. I told you you should have spent more time on this. I really thought you knew your quotes. We were practicing them and you did so well. There's no fixing, there's no blaming, there's no shaming. There's nothing about the future yet. Instead, you're acknowledging the thing that they actually controlled. You're naming that out loud. If you know that your child put in a lot of effort towards this outcome in this exam, name that. Regardless of whether or not they hit the mark they were hoping for, if you know that they put in time and effort, that is what they need to hear. And then you explicitly park that problem solving that I know you so desperately want to jump towards. You park it for later. Because your child, like we said, their nervous system will only allow that prefrontal cortex to turn back on, the reasoning part of their brain, when they feel connection, not when they're still in shame. This comes straight from the work that I do with families, and I believe it's the hardest part that I ask of parents, because every instinct in you is to fix it. I feel that. We're fixers. We want to help. And we think that sometimes we can soften the blow with a plan. But the most effective thing that you can do in that first 60 seconds is to not think about that at all and acknowledge the person and their effort that they presented. We regulate, we connect, we praise, we solve it later. And here's why it only works because of you. That phrase, I'm really proud of how hard you worked, and you and me, we are so okay. A child can only take that on board and hear it if it's actually true. And the only way they'll know it's actually true is if you've been putting in that groundwork, that foundation, and showing up for them again and again and again over the last couple of weeks. If the connection wasn't there and the words were just words, the shame would still exist. But because you've been sitting with them, giving them options, compassion, showing up even when it's exhausting, frustrating, and absolutely difficult, and the easier option would be just to blow them off anyway, because you stayed consistently steady, even if you had a couple dips throughout the time, everyone will. It's a very stressful time, but if you still showed up time and time again with a calm nervous system, those words are going to hold weight. And when you say that line, their nervous system, even if their head goes, their nervous system is going to go, yeah, that's true, I felt that. The connection is what helps the words land, and you built that. And this moment is what all of that was for. Connect first, solve later, always in that order. And quickly, because I know that some of you are sitting there with children who are yet to get news or have received positive news. This works in exactly the same way, even when they get good news. When the result is brilliant, we still praise the effort, not the outcome. I am so proud of how hard you work. You've sacrificed so much time with your friends and sports. You really stood up for yourself and put in so much effort. Why? Why do we do this? They got the good grade. They should be acknowledged for getting the good grade. Yes, but the reason why we always praise the effort is because we want to detach their focus from the outcome and more so build the skills and the values that will always line them up for a resilient growth approach. Because that is how we raise a child who is able to risk stuff, fail, and get back up. It's because they know that the floor of your love doesn't shift just because they have ebbs and flow of their success. So let me pull the whole toolkit together, everything that we use with our Maverick Education families, because that's what I promised you in part 1. And here's the thing I want you to most importantly understand about all of it. When families come to us, this is where we start our journey together. Not the revision schedules, not the revision strategies, not how to make sure they're focused and prepared and on track. We start with the relationship, because we learned long ago that every educational tool, every tactic, every approach to an exam is absolutely useless if your child doesn't feel like they have a strong foundational support system. A dysregulated, disconnected child cannot revise. Their amygdala will be going off, and their prefrontal cortex will not have access to any executive functioning skills. But a child who feels safe, seen, and held, that child can do extraordinary things because they feel confident, failing, trying new things, pushing themselves. That is what the toolkit actually is all about. Yes, of course, we go through how to set up a revision schedule, how to set it up if your child has different neurodiversity needs. We have the prioritization toolkits. However, underneath every single one of those is the same thread, a way to build and protect a connection between you and your child. So if you'd like to be part of our community of parents who are working through not just how we prioritize for exams, but how we can ensure that there's connection, that waitlist is in the show notes. It's free to join, and by joining it means that when we launch, you get access to that early bird price at no extra cost. It's for the family who wants everything in one place, guided and personalized to them. So here is your Toolbox challenge for the week. Before the next result lands in your house, I'd like for you to take a couple of minutes to decide how you would handle that first 60 seconds. It's so important, even for us, to plan ahead so we're not scrambling in the heat of it. So start thinking about how you would use the framework that I gave you, acknowledging the effort and the person rather than the outcome, and how you would ensure that your child feels like you see them. Write it down if it helps. If you want to share it down in the comments below, I read every single comment, and this one is really important to me. So I'd be really excited to see how, as a community, we are prioritizing connection over outcome, and how by doing that, the outcome usually follows suit. Okay, so that is our 3-part series wrapped up. You learned how to see where your child is at. You learned how to show up beside them and, importantly, get them to come to the table with you. And today you saw that by showing up consistently, you were doing the one thing that allows unstable and overwhelming scenarios feel a little bit easier: connection. You've done some really incredible work the last couple of weeks, and I hope you feel that. If this series helped your family even a little bit, please share it to another family who you know is getting ready for a rocky or unsettled time ahead. Thank you for spending this series with me. And if you're looking for a little bit more on how you can develop these emotional regulation tools, head over to episode 4, where I share 5 different ways that you can support not only yourself, but your child in developing that emotional regulation. It's one of our highest watched videos, and it's because, as you know, it is the foundation to everything we do to build connection. So I will see you in that video next.